Hi, welcome. Today we're playing Tiny Glade once again, and we are trying to recreate the old camp area from Gothic 1. Grab yourself a nice little snack, a cozy little blanket, and enjoy. We have already started working on the camp itself, and I went in with the wall elements. As you can see, they are this kind of peach color, I would say. I was trying to emulate somewhat the color of wood. I did see there are a lot of wooden elements when I was checking reference photos online. So that's what I was trying to emulate just a little bit. And as you can see, I am now going in with the little path and just trying to see how this would work out. I was checking the map itself, and on the map you can see from top what the camp actually looks like. So it's very useful to visualize how the little roads, little paths, and how the huts and the bigger buildings are looking like. I have not played Gothic so far, however I did receive this as a request, so I'm doing this build right now. I might want to play it in the future because I have done a bit of reading about what the game is about, and it's quite interesting, and from what I understand there might be a remake of it, or maybe it's coming out maybe this year or next year. I read something about this, so that could be interesting because this is an older game. From what I remember, it was made in 2001, so obviously the graphics will not be as great. However, I'm not the type of person that would be bothered by the graphics in a game. I have played games that don't have the best graphics, like the Star Wars games, the Jedi Academy one. I think the second one, the one with Jaden. I just remembered the name of the main character, so it's not a problem for me if the game doesn't look like it's a modern game, like it was created nowadays. It's not a problem as long as it has good plot, good story. It's all good. Now, as you can see, I am adding the little houses, and these are going to be the huts. If you play the game, or if you've checked out images about the camp, then you can see that these little huts kind of surround the camp on the inside, and the more castle-y area is right in the middle, which I'm going to work on a bit later. And I will actually go in and resize this because I will realize soon enough that it's not going to be as big as I would want it to be, so it's actually not going to fit everything in the camp area. So I'm going to do that quite soon, I think. Also, the river I have added it there. It's a river, a little pond. I think that's like a water source for the camp. It would make sense to me that they use that water because they also live here. Now, the story of Gothic 1, I read up on it, and it's very interesting actually. I don't know if there are any books, but I think it would be also an interesting story just to read in a book. So there's this fantasy kind of medieval world right? And the orcs, there are I think 2 races, might be more, but I have read about the orcs and the humans. And there is this war going on between these 2 races, and the orcs are on the winning side. And that's why the king of the humans decides to go on and try to mine as much ore as possible so that they can use that when fighting the orcs. I'm not sure what they use it for, if it's magic or they just make weapons out of those ores. So it could be any of those, but if you know, do let me know in the comments, because I would like to learn more. So the ore that they mine has to be mined by someone, and this is when the story gets interesting, because they they force prisoners to actually mine out the ore. All these prisoners that have committed something bad, like a crime of some kind of a crime, right? They're brought to the old camp area. I think it was the old camp area, and some magicians create a barrier around this area where they're mining the ore, so they cannot actually leave, and they're basically forced laborers for the king. Now, something happens and this barrier gets larger, so the entire area is actually added, a much bigger area is added to this secluded barriered up space. I don't even know if that's how you say it. And the mages also cannot actually leave, and also the prisoners can't leave either. And so they start living in this area, and they keep on mining ores. However, there will be actually 3 groups of prisoners. So there will be the old camp area, this one that I'm building right now, the new camp area, and also the people of the Brotherhood. I'm guessing that's also another camp, because they would need some place to live at, right? And these, can I call them factions? It feels like I would maybe call them factions, and I will. Maybe they're not factions, but I'm just going to call them factions. I don't know better wording for them right now. So these 3 factions have different ideas on what they should do. The old camp continues trading ore with the king in exchange for, I think, food or maybe something else. And the new camp refuses trading with the king. They want to keep all the ore for themselves, because they believe that they can build certain weapons or something along the lines of some kind of a weapon, I think, to destroy the barrier that is surrounding them, so they can leave this prison finally. And the Brotherhood, they have a very interesting story. They believe in this god, the Sleeper. That's the god's name, the Sleeper. And the Sleeper will come one day and will save them all. That's what they believe in, which is very interesting. I wonder if this god actually does exist in the game, and I wonder what kind of a behavior these people have because they believe in this god, because you could write a lot of interesting things in as a story by playing around with the idea of these people that pretty much are part of a cult. That's what I understand from their belief system, at least. And before I forget, I did want to mention that they do trade with the other two factions. They trade swamp moss or something. They produce some kind of a swamp something that I think might be edible, or maybe it's used for potions. I don't know that, but I'm curious, so do let me know if you know what that is and what it is used for. Or I don't know what that is actually. Yeah, I'm trying to think about what uses it would have. In the meantime, I'm actually liking how this is looking. It's trying to get a nice little shape. I am already adding the sort of castle-y bricky parts, all those buildings that actually have are built with bricks, right? And you can see the wooden huts are this peachy color as well, because they're wooden, and I found that that's one of the most fitting colors. And I also added this kind of not blue, I want to say greenish brown roofing, as I thought that's the closest I'll get to huts. And look at the sheep go. It just popped up. I have no idea why. I have added the banners, and I do really like how that image is coming together. However, I wish that we would have more roofing elements that don't have this moss on them. I don't know if it's because of the specific map that I am now building on, because I am building on an autumn type of map, and I'm thinking that maybe sometimes that influences how the elements you add in will actually look like. So it could be that, and maybe I'm just complaining now, and actually on other types of map it looks actually much better and you don't have the mossy look. And also about the fences, I wanted to say that you might have noticed I added the fences on the right side, sort of right there. I was on one of the reference images that I used, so I tried to add that as a little detail. And using the reference images I found online, it was not that easy to figure out always what is what and what I should add extra. So I'm just trying my best to make it at least recognizable, so you know that this is the old camp by its shape and by its colors somewhat. You'd recognize this and say, oh yeah, this is the camp. Here I felt really good about the idea of adding those white little elements that you might have noticed, those ones on the side of those walls, those two ones actually, the two. Those are similar to what you can see on the reference images. So I am going to do that actually much later on. I will go in and add much more of these little white rocky wall elements. Here I am just trying to figure out what I am actually going to do, because I kept on checking the image and I wasn't sure what's needed. So I felt like I just need to figure out how to place everything better so they look a bit better next to each other. However, later on I will probably move this another 10 times just moving them a little bit to the left and right and just trying to get it a bit better. And here what I did notice through some playthroughs that I watched that some people have actually created these walkthroughs and you can see the campsite better. So that is really, really useful when it comes to also having a better feel for all those bumps happening. You'll see that the old camp area, the middle part, is actually more elevated. So that is my goal here. That's what I was trying to achieve, to just elevate the middle part. Also here, I am going in and just moving everything a little bit on the other side because again, I was not having enough space. And then I'm just elevating everything just a little bit because there was this little place all around it that you usually have around castles where I think maybe back in the days they might have had like water or something surrounding it to make it more difficult to reach. So that's what I was doing right there. And also you can see already that the tower has been around for quite a while because I wanted to just see it and see where I am placing it. Many times the images that I was looking at, it was just not clear at first where I have to place everything. So if I actually did not get it right, I am so sorry. It might be that I was just confused with the two entrances and how then the buildings are placed, but I was trying my best to get it as right as I can with the elements that I have and also just the images that I have. Also, I did not add too many details, like windows, for example. I did not add those, just a couple of them here at front, because on the images that I looked at, I couldn't see the windows, and I wasn't sure, is this something intended because it is an old game? Did they not place the windows, or I cannot see them actually because the quality of the images are not the best, and also just the quality of like the game itself back then when they created it wasn't as high performing, or it wasn't just as good visually speaking as it is now, as it is going to be now, because I did see they are going to improve a lot the graphics. Here I'm adding this little part, which I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it served any kind of purpose, but it felt like they had like a wooden something right there, maybe like a fishing spot, or maybe it has another purpose. I'm curious what it is for. Or maybe I just got it wrong and it's actually not there. I did see like one screenshot at least that did not have it there. It could have been a different, like the second game maybe. I don't want to give any spoilers, but yeah, the old camp should be in the second game as well, and from what I understood, it might look a bit different. Here I'm just placing down a couple of those huts as well and trying to get them as right as I can. Also, I am going to do this soon. I was not doing it so far. I am going to be trying to place logs, because I did notice that one of the main objects that was actually there in the game were these logs that were placed. And that's what I wanted to get. If you click on the windows or the doors and place them down, you might know that Tiny Glade allows you to spawn a random object. Now that was my goal. I was really trying to get the logs, and you'll see soon this video is sped up. So I don't know, I think I spent like 5 to 10 minutes on just trying to get the logs, but I would always get different items. So I did eventually give up because I just couldn't get any logs. And I was actually wondering maybe there aren't any logs. But then I checked online some Tiny Glade videos, and I did see that someone placed a log. So I don't know why it wouldn't spawn in. I was again thinking that maybe it's because of the autumn type of map. And speaking of autumn, I'm wondering what season is in Gothic 1. Could you please let me know what the season is, because I couldn't figure it out. I was trying to Google so hard and I just couldn't find the season. Maybe it's actually not mentioned anywhere. I tried to deduce it by looking at the images, and it felt like around the camp definitely there wasn't much greenery, and the trees looked more dead than alive. So what I did is I used the autumn type of map, because I did find images where it seemed like it's summer because trees were all green. So I tried to find this sweet spot between autumn and summer. And as you can see here, I am already going in, trying to place the items, just clicking on random little doors and seeing what I get. And I will actually go in soon enough, I think, with some separate buildings where I will be just testing out if I can finally get the logs to appear. In vain, but I did try. I tried my best. I did try, but it just wouldn't cooperate with me. I do feel like the build needs some windows, and I felt a bit down because I didn't add any. But again, I wanted to be as specific as possible to the images that I've seen, so I didn't want to add the windows if they actually don't exist, or I don't know if maybe they do exist, but I just didn't want to add them as long as I could not see them. And here I am, just placing 1,000 of windows on these test little huts and trying my best to get the elements that I want to work with, the logs specifically, and nothing. You'll see, nothing happens. I don't get the logs, and now that I'm watching it, I'm hoping that I didn't miss it while I was clicking too fast, because if I did miss it, then that would be something. I would not want that. But as you can see, there are no logs appearing. But yeah, I'll just go on for a while now, and I'll be moving the elements, just placing the windows, trying to get the logs. And this is when I try again, I think, and then I'm just, you know what? I'm done trying. I'm good. There won't be any logs. They probably use them all up, or they have this place where they moved all the logs and we can't actually see them. I think that's just gonna be the story. Here I even went in with a different type of window because I said maybe the logs will appear with a different type of window, and maybe that's gonna be the key. Also, tried the doors, as you might have seen before, didn't work. Tried already placed down windows, I'm still trying. This is one of my last tries, I think, and nothing, so I will just give up. And I do know that most probably down there on these two towers, you see those big windows that I added? I don't think those are windows, but they look similar to whatever shape, decoration, whatever was on the actual build. So I tried to add those so they look a bit more like the real deal. And here I am going in with those white elements on the sides of the actual two towers. And yes, I will make sure later that these two towers are on the same level. Don't worry about that, I will even that out later. Just we'll have to wait for that, because I wanted to go in with these wall elements, and I don't think I even noticed it at this point. I was still probably thinking about the logs and the big disappearance of the logs. But oh yeah, I did actually modify this one, but I was not trying to even it out. I was working on the terrain a little bit, seeing if I could maybe raise it a bit on each side, so it's a bit more natural, I would say, just how it looks like. I did forget to add that from what I read, the mages that are actually trapped here with the prisoners because they can't leave due to the barrier, they are like two types of mages from what I read, and do let me know if I'm missing any details, because I've just read once on Wikipedia about the plot itself, but I didn't read the full story, because if I'm going to play the game, then I will want to experience that, so please no spoilers. But the mages actually are living separately in two groups, so that you have the fire and the water mages. And if I'm remembering correctly, the fire mages are the ones that live in the old camp, and the water mages are the ones in the new camp. However, I might have mixed these two types of mages up. And your story begins with this guy that you're playing with, and you basically are a prisoner, and you don't actually know what was the crime committed, what crime your character committed. So you just start the game already, I think, inside the barrier from what I remember, and you'll have to basically do the tasks that the game gives you and just work towards the end of the game. That's how I imagine it. I'm not sure what the main aim will be, probably to escape at the end finally from this place. I think that would make a lot of sense. And I'm guessing that there will be also other dramas and other issues that you also have to handle while you're playing inside the barrier, and you're meeting all sorts of interesting characters and learning about their stories. That's how I imagine it is done. It would make sense, at least. I do like the whole vibe of the game, the medieval feel to it. I did listen to some of the walkthroughs, and just the ambience of it was very, very nice. So I recommend you do check it out when it comes out, when the remade version comes out. That would be really awesome, and actually I am here adding these little sort of towers or something. I don't know, I saw it on the image and I do believe they're there, but I'm not fully sure about their purpose. And also then I just really gave up adding them because I wasn't sure if I got them right, so I just preferred leaving that space empty. And here at the tower also there were some other elements that didn't make quite sense to me, so I'm trying to work around that. Also, while working on the tower, you will see me do a lot of tests. Not that many though, I've done more before, so I think I leveled up my skills on just trying to create whatever towers and just buildings. But I am a bit struggling at first with where I'm going to place everything, how's that going to work out. So I'm just trying to focus and see what's going to go best. I did end up taking a little break right here because I wasn't sure if the game was already released, because I did see a page, a landing page, but a website I would say, where they were marketing it. And this is not like, I'm not being sponsored obviously by them, I'm just saying that the game will come out sometime soon probably, because there is a pre-order option that I noticed in case you're interested, obviously. I am again adding the little white wall element on each side so that we have that on this building as well. And I couldn't actually make it go higher up because these little white wall elements go only that high up. I don't know how to do this and how do you get around this limitation, so if you know any workaround, please feel free to let me know in the comment section, because I would like to learn how to do this better and have obviously a better build, because also the actual tower from the game has the white part from what I remember, all from the bottom all up to the top. Here I'm just testing out what would work best, as you can see, and it is going a bit slowly. It needs a lot of my focus on it, and I will have to just remake it just a little bit though, a bit later on, but I will get around it. And with what we have in Tiny Glade, the elements and all the limitations, I mean, I think I did quite an okay job. Of course, if you would like, you can try to create it as well and tag me on Pinterest and show me what you created. I would love to see that. I will leave in the description, in the about section, the link to my Pinterest, so you can actually tag me in there and show me your build, because I would love to see this, and I would love to see it done better than myself. That would be amazing. However, I really appreciate also if you try, and if it's not the best, all builds are welcome, and I think we're all learning anyhow, and we're learning together and from each other. And I think it's beautiful to just look at the journey and see what one can build, and then you do another build and then realize that I learned also how to do this, and I figured out this and that. I had those aha moments during this build as well, actually, during this tower when I was building it. Before, when I did my other video, the Prague Charles Bridge video, I know that I did the tower in a way that I added the wall underneath the tower. So I elevated the tower first and then added the walls around it because I couldn't get past, like, I'm not sure if it was also the building limitation. Yeah, from what I remember, it was an issue. There was an issue with how the tower was not tall enough, and also I wanted to do this archway right through the tower. That's why I added it that way. However, as you have seen here, I actually added 2 tower elements on top of each other, these simple building elements actually, and I have elevated them on top of each other sort of, and then I could make it taller actually. It makes sense if you've been paying attention to the video what I did, so you can look at that in case you're having trouble with that part there. I am no expert by any means. I am learning, and I am having many times a hard time understanding what's happening and how to make this better, but I enjoy the challenge and I enjoy working on these little builds. Here I've added those are towers in Tiny Glade, but in the game those are like something else. I don't know what those are. They look like I think horns, maybe. So now I'm wondering what this tower is for. Is it for monitoring the prisoners? So this is where the mages would go up on and monitor them, or does it have any kind of other purpose? I'm guessing that because you have the walls also, you want to protect this area maybe from orcs or maybe the other factions around you, or from wild animals or creatures. So you might also want to use that tower to have a point where you can look out from and alert everyone if there is danger. That's what I'm thinking it is. I'm guessing there are also always guards there. Here I have raised that door and I was moving it around a bit because I was trying to get it in the middle, and also I was hoping that I can make it even larger than that, because I did see there was something there and I was hoping it's a door, so I tried my best. And again here as well, I thought that I might have seen a door right there, so let's try to add this as well. Maybe it is what I have seen before, maybe it isn't, but we'll try our best. And then I just went in with more of this dirt patch because I wanted not so much grass over there. I don't think there is this much grass anyhow in the camp. I think I was very generous with the nature part, just all these plants everywhere. I do like it and I did not worry about it really, and I left it as it is. Maybe I went in just a little bit more with just a little bit more of this sand or dirt patch, but most of it I left it as it is. And here I just deleted some little objects on the side. That's all I did, because I thought that pumpkins were not in this camp, so I'm not sure if I left any pumpkins, but I did delete a couple of them. And this is the point where I was trying to figure out what to also add here and do, and I was also checking again the map, just trying to figure out if I have been doing this properly or if I actually mixed up the order of the buildings or anything like that. And of course the huts will probably not be the same amount as there are in the actual game, I have added just a couple of them, so they kind of reflect of what you'd see when you enter the camp area. This here, it reminded me of a church actually. It does have 2 horns as well. I was thinking that maybe it is maybe a church, but now that I also read the story, I'm kind of doubting that. Or maybe it's a place where the magicians do their magical stuff. They do their magical stuff. Whatever they do, their ceremonies, their magical experiments. And then here I'm just trying to do these stairs. I was thinking that maybe those are stairs in front of it, because I did see an image of it and it was very small. So yeah, just adding stairs because I was thinking that maybe those are that, and maybe people would want to go get up to this building, or maybe there's like a plaza sort of thing in front of it. Anyhow, it looked like there is something in front of it, and it looked like it's something dark. Could have been also the lighting, how the picture was taken. But I tried my best. This is whatever this is, it's going to be done soon, and I actually like what it looks like, whatever it may be. Do let me know if you know what this building is for. I am very curious to learn. I would love to understand what I did here. So yeah, I'm just finishing this one up, and I'll go in with, I think, a bit more dirt here because I have to connect this side. And this is the part when I was actually realizing that the area is quite empty and I might need to do something else, a little bit of an extra here to finish it up and to make it all come together. So I will actually go in, and you see I'm making the water area just a little bit larger, and I will also try to make a pit. Now that I actually know the story, from the story I understand that maybe that's the place where the ore is being mined, and I'm quite confident about that because I did see a couple of pictures. They were quite small, and maybe also in the walkthrough I have seen it, and it seemed like it's this place with lots of like ladders and just wooden structures that might be actually used at a mine, and it was just like this sort of a pit. But when I was building this build in Tiny Glade, I actually thought that that's sort of a place like a coliseum where they maybe fight beasts or each other. So bear in mind that while I was playing this, that's what I thought, that these people, maybe because they have some kind of savage nature or medieval savage nature, they enjoy those kind of games, and maybe that's why they actually built that coliseum there, also for like, well, it was what they did back then to have fun, right? They would watch people in coliseums fight each other. However, yeah, I think that's a mine, so I'm going to go in with that. Still, it can be a coliseum and it can be a mine. Both look similar, so it's not going to ruin or take away anything from the build itself. I couldn't actually make it really round, and I didn't want to move anymore the build itself, so I will actually make it a bit smaller, I think. Here I'm just adjusting the elements that you can see. I'm moving things around, seeing how high up I can move the middle part, and I hope I left it like that. I really hope, because now rewatching it, I think it looks really, really good with it being elevated. Yeah, I did that because I was already starting to work on this round part here. Now watching it, maybe I could have actually gone around it more easily and I could have made the walls a bit more, well, I could have pulled the walls out a bit and then make it round this whole place, but I think it's looking really good as well, just as it is. And in a moment I think I'm adding a bit of the dirt there, and I like how that adds depth to the build because it creates those rocky little stairs that you can see as well. Also here I'm adding the lanterns also on the walls because I want to have more light. If I'm looking at this build during the night, I want to see it in its glory. I want to see it a bit lit up, so that's why I'm going in with the lanterns, though I have not seen many of them actually in the build. I've seen only like about 2 of the lanterns that I placed in the actual game, the ones right in front of the 2 little towers. Those are the ones that I actually saw in the game as well. And here I'm just adding these wall elements that are white and that make the build a bit more realistic to what we want, right? And that's all I'm doing here, just adding the little white parts. Nothing hard. I actually enjoyed this part. It might be a bit boring to do over and over the same thing, but somehow it was really peaceful and just meditative, placing down these little white walls. Do you have like a thing that you like doing but others would consider that maybe it's boring? I'm curious what that would be. Like for me, for example, it's doing this, just adding repetitively the same objects. For example, in this build, these white parts, it was just so satisfying, and just placing them down and seeing how the build is coming together, that was really, really good for me. That's why I think also that I like Tiny Glade and I can play it for a very long time without actually feeling burnt out. You know, when you play a game and then you don't want to play it anymore because you just play for too long and you just don't want to see that game anymore because, let's be real, it gets very repetitive. Well, I feel like by keeping it challenging, like when I'm playing Tiny Glade and I try to create these new little builds and try to challenge myself, of course, I feel like that adds to the whole experience and make it more fun, and I don't feel like I am burnt out or like I don't want to do this. I feel like I'm excited to see what it is going to look like, and I am excited to see what the next build is going to be. And I think I am going to be soon done with this actually. I am just looking around to see if I will need to add more of these elements, and I do actually on the left tower. I have not added the white little wall piece. And soon enough we are going to be finished with this build. However, when I was rotating the camera, I did notice that, oh no, this part is a bit empty, and I think there were huts over here, and I hope there were, because I just realized that it's empty and I really need to fill it up with something. So I added huts over on this place just so it's more filled out and looks a bit more like, yeah, this is a camp that people live in, and it's just the whole build comes together better by having more elements placed down, of course. So that is what I am doing right now. Just adding the little huts and the little pots to each one of them, and then just looking around a little bit to see if I need to adjust anything, and that will be it. I am going to now show you some images of this build. Hope you enjoyed.